Problem 6D, I'm going to look at specifically at problem D here. If I'm going to complete this square, the process is going to be the same as we did the other times, just with much bigger numbers. So if I have a z squared, I'll start off with z squared with side lengths of z and z. And then if we have negative 1000z, so to build a square, I need to have the same number on both sides, which means this would be a negative 500z, and this would also be a negative 500z. So my side length would be negative 500 and negative 500. Then to complete the square, I would be taking negative 500 times negative 500, and that would give me a positive 25. And then add my zeros in. So 500 times, or negative 500 times negative 500 is going to be 250,000. That's a real big number. But again, the process is still the same. If I am adding that to the problem, so I have a z squared minus 1000z, and I'm adding 250,000, that means I need to subtract 250,000. And then I want to make sure that I have the rest of the problem in there, which was 60,775, and that equals 0. So the square that I've created here is that part. The stuff in purple was my original problem. I added the green and subtracted the red, which ends up equaling 0. So I'm not changing the problem because I'm actually adding 0 to the problem. However, this right here is my square as a z minus 500 square. Combining these numbers, so negative 250,000 plus 60,775, that gives me a negative 189,225 equals 0. I'm going to move that to the other side. So I have z minus 500 squared equals a positive 189,225. Square root both sides, giving me z minus 500 equals plus or minus, and then I need to take the square root of that number. So using your calculator and then rounding it to a couple decimal places, if it rounds, if any of these work out to be perfect squares, you don't round them. This one is a perfect square. It is 435. So now I have two separate problems. Because of that plus or minus, I can break this into, one second here. Going back and looking at this one here, I can break that now into the positive, which is z minus 500 equals positive 435. And I could do the negative, so z minus 500 equals a negative 435. For both of these problems to solve them, I'm going to move the 500 over by adding 500 to both sides. So the one I have in red, when I add 500, I'm going to get z equals 935. And for the green one, when I add 500 over, I'm going to get z equals 65. So those are the two solutions to problem D.